Ever wonder what it would be like to do a plus 20 with 300 IO players that you cannot yell at? This is the Holy Paladin Mage Tower. I am Sixy, and today we'll be going over our Holy Paladin VOD of our Mage Tower run through. If you're attempting to get your spell tome mount, you'll need to complete the End of the Risen Threat challenge. Holy Paladin is one of the classes that is probably the easiest to complete this on, as DPS is kind of built into their healing rotation. So let's go over our talents and consumables before we get into our VOD. And then I will go over exactly what buttons you need to push so that you can be successful in your run. All right, our video was too long, so I needed to cut out about 6 minutes. So we're speed running talents and consumables and gear. We're going to use Light's Hammer, Judgment of Light, Blinding Light, Unbreakable Spirit, Divine Purpose, Awakening Beacon of Fate. All of these are basically interchangeable. The only one that is mandatory is Blinding Light, and that's only for the first phase. Okay, you can use whatever the fuck you want besides that. In our gear section, this is prot gear because I am a prot tank. I did not have other tools to switch out. And also, I'm a big fan of Blood Spattered Scale. I crutch on this thing all the time. I know how to use it, so we didn't want to change it out. And also, I found plenty of applications for it throughout the fight. For consumables, you can basically use full Shadowlands consumables. I happened to have Flask of Endless Fathoms sitting in my bag from whenever the fuck I made this character. They actually grant one more intellect than a Flask of Spectral Power, but I think that difference is negligible and completely unimportant. On top of the full Shadowlands consumables, I would recommend having a Potion of Prolonged Power and some Spiritual Healing Potions. You can use a Veiled Augment Rune if you want to. I don't think it's necessary. Drums of Fury just happened to be cheap at the time that I bought them, so we used Drums of Fury versus the Drums of Deathly Ferocity. Either one doesn't really matter. Now let's dive into the video. We're speed running this first section. You're going to kill the Aura Blast, make sure Mana Sting doesn't hit you, dispel the person who gets hit with it. It's usually going to be one of your friends. Get to the next part. On the second phase, you're just going to DPS the mage, always focus it first. If it gets off more than one Arcane Blitz on the same person, they'll probably die, so make sure you heal anybody that's below 50%. Third pack, focus the mage, and you can either Hodge or Fear the first Knife Dance on the Risen Soldier. I choose to Hodge, and then you're going to Fear the second one after you kill the mage. Get everybody topped off. Using Shield of the Righteous here is pretty clutch, as it allows this guy to beat on you while taking minimal damage. On the fourth pack, you need to follow this exact order of spells. Cast Avenging Wrath, focus the mage, do not cast Consecrate. When the Risen Soldiers begin to cast Knife Dance, you're going to Blinding Light as soon as their cast starts to count down, and that way Consecrate doesn't break them out early. Finish the mage, and then use some defensives while these guys beat on you. Get everyone topped off and focus the soldier that your friends are beating it down. When they go to cast their second Knife Dance, you're going to turn Undead one and Hodge the other. Get everyone topped off here with the one Risen Soldier left over as he beats on you, so that you can prepare for the next pack. On the fourth pack, DPS down the mage. Make sure you turn Evil the Knife Dance, cast as soon as it starts counting down, and don't get hit by Mana Sting, as this will completely screw your mana, and you can still die in this portion after this. Spell the person who gets Mana Sting. Again, cast Shield of the Righteous while this guy's beating on you, and or defensive. Dispel the Mana Sting, and then turn Evil the Knife Dance so that you keep your people alive. And then finally, after the Arbalest dies, you can Hodge at any point to finish off the Risen Soldier. So here is one of the spots where we get out of combat. You can use a Tome. As you can see, I have some Tome of the Tranquil Minds. You can use a Tome and change your talents out if you want to. There's two things you need to have before going into this phase. You need to have Avenging Wrath, which is the wings, and you need to have your scale if you're running a scale. Now, the scale is like 50% mandatory. It helps out a lot, in my opinion, with getting through this first room. But if you don't have a scale, you'll probably get through it. It'll just take you a little bit longer. But Avenging Wrath is mandatory. You also probably want to have Bubble, but again, this is not mandatory. You have plenty of time to heal yourself up, but if you have Bubble available to you, you can save about 15 seconds, okay? These flickering eyes are going to take a second to activate. I'm going to put Consecrate down here on the left, as well as my Light's Hammer, all right? And this is so that it just saves me some time on the back end, because right now we're just like not focusing on these guys. We don't care. I usually target this flickering eye first, and then what we're going to do after we cast Avenging Wrath is we're going to Hammer of Justice, we're going to Holy Shock, and then we're going to Hammer, whatever the fuck that ability is called. We want to stand perfectly in the center so that we don't get hit by this is a pulsing AoE damage. If we get hit by all of these at the same time, we're basically dead, so we're kind of up against it here. But this hammer should do enough damage to get us through this part, and then we're going to heal ourselves afterwards. Then we're going to use our Word of Glory, and then we're full. And now we're going to start on this one. So we're going to target it, Hammer of Justice. Now keep in mind, Hammer of Justice increases the damage of your next Crusader Strike or Holy Shock, all right? So we, in general, want to use Hammer then Holy Shock if we're at range, or Hammer, then Crusader if we're in melee. As long as you're under 1 minute and 10 seconds in this room, your time is fine. So it's not it's a little bit of a rush, but you have a little bit of time as well. So I get myself healthy. So we cast our next Hammer of Justice and then our next Hammer of Wrath, and we kill that guy. We're going to top ourselves up. There's another Wog and Holy Shock and Flash of Light. Now, these guys are all pretty low, so this might be when I decide to use my Bubble or my Scale. I might use my Scale as like just an AoE damage, and I might use my Bubble, or I might use Defensive Scale here. Basically, like at this point, I get a little bit antsy. Yep, there it is. I went Bubble, Scale to kill the first one. I meleeed this guy, and then I'll get a Hammer of Wrath or something in on that guy. Right now, with this one, with these things, you do not want to let them touch you. If you just like run over them, they'll do about half your health in damage. You can use almost any ability, including melee, to kill them. So I think, yeah, I end up meleeing, or I Crusader Strike. I'm sorry, I Crusader Strike. You just can't, you basically need to kill it before you run on top of it. If it touches you, and when I say touch you, it's like pretty close range. That's when it'll do all that damage to you in health. We Consecrate to kill this one, and also to start our DPS rotation on this one. In general, if you just put Consecrate down and use Shield of the Righteous, they die really fast. So there's really no reason to do anything special. But if you just use Shield of the Righteous over and over again, not only does it damage all of this stuff inside of Consecrate, but it keeps you in a pretty good healthy spot. I Flash of Light here, not because I need it for healing, but to pump Holy Power so I can just cast more Shield of the Righteous because I'm out of other things to press. So here comes the Light's Hammer after this Flash, and we're just going to keep DPSing this guy. Again, usually you don't even need to heal yourself during this phase. Just Consecrate, Shield of the Righteous, keep going. All right, so in this next phase, we're going to need to heal 3 of these damaged souls. We're going to need to dispel this guy, and we're going to need to kill 1 Aura Blast. So what I generally do is while I'm clicking this gate, I target this guy, and I immediately dispel him. So you see I have him targeted here. I immediately press Shift 1, which is my dispel, and then I go straight into healing these guys. A Flash of Light plus a Holy Shock usually, and a Light of the Martyr gets them all topped up there. I needed 2, but because of I'm not running a flask anymore or anything else, but I needed a little extra there healing. Make sure this guy, if you have this scenario where you don't get them in a couple globals, you'll need to just send this guy a quick like insta-cast heal. 1 Light of the Martyr is probably plenty, so you can get this guy finished up and then heal this guy. They decrease in health, and if they die, they become risen soldiers, and then you're basically in a scuffed run. I only let it happen once because I wanted to see kind of what happened, but they have extra health or something. It is like not doable if a single one of these guys dies, it's done. Don't even bother. Just click your eyeball, get out. Here I'm gonna do some more min-maxy bullshit. As you can see, my Avenging Wrath is coming off cooldown. I have my Hodge, and I'm going to also use my Light's Hammer here, so I'm probably gonna wait for that to come up. So we're just gonna do a little bit of DPS. The Arbalest is gonna teleport and start casting Mana Sting. What we're gonna do is we're gonna Hodge, bang. We're gonna cast Light's Hammer, bang, and we're going to cast Avenging Wrath at the same time. We're just going to start blasting. All right, get your Consecrate down, using Shield of the Righteous to just do additional damage. I don't know why I'm not casting Consecrate. I'm an idiot. It does a ton of damage. And then when she ports again, we still have Blinding Light. I didn't switch talents, so there's no other reason to hold on to Blinding Light. So we just cast Blinding Light here, even though it's a pretty big 2-minute cooldown. And then we just keep blasting. If the Arbalest were to jump again, obviously I blasted this dude. If the Arbalest were to jump again, just cast Turn Evil, or you use these damaged souls, you put the arrow through the damaged soul, and you just dispel them afterwards. I don't even know if you need to dispel them, but you can. I honestly, after like the second attempt, I stopped using them. I just thought it was annoying. It was taking up too much time. So I just started using my CC ability so I could just keep DPSing. All right, so this part can be a little tricky, but in general, we're just going to throw our ranged abilities at this left side. Then when we get into this middle section, we're going to cast Consecrate. There, I actually use Shield of the Righteous, it looks like, instead of casting Consecrate. And then we melee this guy. Since I didn't use Consecrate, we can now drop Consecrate at the top of the stairs. In general, before you start clicking this gate, I highly recommend waiting for your Consecrate to come up and dropping Consecrate on yourself. Some of these orbs can like run over to you randomly, and if you're clicking the gate, you don't want to it could actually accidentally kill you. So just wait, get your consecrate down. That way you never have to worry about like this orb respawning and then like killing you. As you can see, it just respawned there. Because my consecrate was down, it just instantly died. Now in this room, it can be a pretty tricky room. I don't know how other people have been dealing with it. I think you can probably just take your time and heal yourself and then DPS when it's safe. This is the second time I crutch on my scale. So the first thing we do as soon as this opens up is we hammer and then we holy shock. It'll take it to about 50%. 67, because again, I'm not flashed. I don't have anything. Now, what we're going to do is we're just going to DPS this guy until our ranged abilities come off cooldown again. So we're getting ourselves topped up just in case we crit. So this is important. If you cast your next set of abilities and you crit, you're going to blow yourself up. So make sure you have your health in like a semi-decent spot. So then here comes my holy shock, and now I'm at 20%. Now this is basically where I want to be. I want to be somewhere between 5 and 20%. That's how it worked out most of the time. So then I'm right. As soon as I see this, I see I'm in decent shape. I'm going to cast my defensive, and then I'm going to run up to him and I'm going to scale him. So I see that the spot is good. So we go defensive, scale. And then now what I've done by doing this is that these eyes, these are like beams, and they don't really hurt that bad. But if you're standing in 4 of them, they kind of blast, especially because this guy's cast kind of hurts too. So what I did was I killed this first guy to open up this section of the room. Now I'm going to bounce between this section of the room and this middle section of the room, dropping these eyes on each spot so that way I don't have to just like eat a ton of damage and I can just DPS this guy. All right. So we get here and we start DPSing. I'm going to hodge this things because it's kind of creeping into my territory and I kind of need to stay here so I can keep utilizing this strategy for a little bit longer. I might not hodge him here. I usually do. Yeah, there it is. I hodge. I keep DPSing. Wait for the next set of eyes, move back to the doorway, get your consecrate down because you don't want this orb to kill you. Make sure you always do that, save your consecrate for this middle section. The next set of eyeballs is going to spawn, but this guy's here towards the middle of the room. I should be able to creep by on the right here. I'm going to have to eat a little bit of beam damage. As you can see, I'm kind of getting blasted a little bit. It's a little scary, so I start panic healing myself, and then we're just going to keep kind of kiting around the edge of this room while we kill this guy. And then what that's going to do is it's going to leave us in a great spot to kind of just kill these eyes at a slow speed at our discretion. Now we're going to kill this flickering eye, top ourselves off again, and then kill the next flickering eye. You can get close enough, kind of, to Crusader Strike these guys, or Shield of the Righteous them, but it's really dangerous. When you've done this as many times as I have, you get kind of comfortable with this, but if you're on your like 20th attempt, just play it safe. You have 20 seconds. It's plenty of time. Just use your abilities, and then you can just wait here. Sit here and wait, and then let them all come off cooldown, and you're good to go. I switched my beacons over to Gerard and Callie for this portion of the fight. This takes about a minute, by the way, so if the cooldown you're waiting on is like a minute away, you have plenty of time here. I'll start pumping holy power and then let my mana regenerate. So this portion of the fight is kind of scripted. Callie and Gerard always fight each other first. Just wait a little bit. As long as you don't heal them, you're still out of combat. I don't know if out of combat mana regeneration is still a thing. Doesn't really matter. Our mana is not a concern here, and you'll see why. We're just gonna full send mana. We don't care about mana at any point for the rest of the fight. So we're gonna keep Callie and Gerard topped off here, and then when this guy comes out, as soon as he's targetable, we're gonna flash a light. Holy shock him, Light of the Martyr Wog. You're using basically insta-cast abilities and Flash of Light to get these guys healed up. I mistargeted this guy and didn't heal him to full and missed him. Now, this is 100% okay because in the second phase, I normally let a guy go through intentionally. So here I messed up, but that's not a big deal, not the end of the world. We want to let at least one green mob get to Edric, whatever his name is, because it gives us a down phase. So that we can drink after this. This is why mana doesn't matter, because then we'll get out of combat again and then we can drink again. All right. So that was a mistake. No big deal. We're going to switch our beacon because now Gerard and Granny are fighting. Whenever these two are fighting, it's a fucking problem. All right. Now, whenever these two are fighting each other, you have to like babysit Granny. All right. Granny just gets her ass beat. I don't know why. She sucks. All right. But this situation kind of is going to put us in kind of a predicament. So you can see that she's already kind of getting blasted. I'm not comfortable with her health, but I decided like, fuck it. I'm going to heal these green guys anyways. I just didn't get any crits there. It sucks. It happens, but just, you know, keep your head on. So we start healing this guy. And I actually, because of this situation, I might even not get all 3 of these guys too. I just mistargeted there. This guy didn't get a crit. There's Light of the Martyr. Yeah, so I'm going to wind up in a situation. Oh, I got a lucky crit right there. But as long as only 2 or 3 get to the boss, keep going, okay? So now we're able to like focus on Granny again and Commander and get them topped up. We got a couple lucky crits there. So now I'm in a lot more comfortable space. I'm going into this section thinking I'm going to get all 3 of these guys healed up. So this is our next section. I'm going to finish topping these guys up, get them to 100% health, and then I'm going to drink again. And this is why we let one guy go through. Normally I let it go through on the second one, but we messed up on the first one. So on the second wave, I let one guy go through. If you heal all 6 guys in the first and second wave, Airdris, whatever his name is, immediately becomes active and you do not get to drink and you're going to run out of mana, especially if you're using Flash of Light. I also switched my beacon back to Commander Gerard and Callie. In general, Granny doesn't take any damage during this phase, maybe a little bit. You might need to throw her 1 heal in the next 2.5 minutes, but in general, don't worry about Granny. Even Callie doesn't really take any damage. There's 2 health pools you're really looking at here going forward. Yours and Gerard's, and we'll go over that in a second. Mob that we let go through is going to turn into one of the mobs from the first phase. So it'll either be a Risen Soldier, an Aura Blast, or a Mage. Most of the time, it's always an Aura Blast. 2 of my attempts, I had a Mage. 1 of my attempts, I had a Risen Soldier. But in general, it's almost always an Arbalist. All right, so we're going to kill him. We still have to deal with the Mana Sting thing again. We'll just let Gerard take it. And then we'll dispel him. And then we're going to go into this with damn near full mana, good holy power, and Gerard's at like 95% health here, all right? And I immediately get into the corner, all right? Now, a lot of people are tempted to DPS here and try to get some shit in. Don't bother. You do not need to do any amount of damage. I am positive that you do not need to do any amount of damage for this boss to die. But I drop Consecrate anyways, give myself a little bit of leeway. I'm now going to cast... So basically, I'm going to use each cooldown in succession. I'm going to try to have a cooldown rolling for every single thing. And when I say cooldown, I mean Avenging Wrath. I mean my Light's Hammer. I mean my drums. I mean my pot. I'm going to separate each single one of those things out to just give me a little bit of boost of healing for each individual phase here. I'm going to use my bubble. I'm going to use my scale. I'm going to use my Lay on Hands. The way this Ignite Soul works is that every point of health that you have is a point of health of damage that's going to be applied to the party. Now, it really only seems like Gerard takes the damage anyways. So you need your health to be substantially lower than Gerard's, all right? So I'm going to start spamming Light of the Martyr on Gerard because at the debuff left's about 8 seconds. That's like 6 globals, right? 5. So you have a very small amount of time to get your health pool to be substantially lower than Gerard's. As you can see, he's kind of getting blasted, right? He's kind of a piece of shit. Honestly, like, use it offensive, bro. So what we're going to do is we're going to probably... I might even need to dip into the Fel here. Luckily, I still have 1 second and he casted Fel here. So this is going to get me to right about 10% health right before the thing explodes. I'm going to take a tick here. And look, I'm at, what, 12.3% health, right? Right as that explodes. And so then Gerard, let me back this up let me just back this up 1 second. So Gerard's health is here. It's like 70. Oh, I actually get him topped off there with a what is it, the end of a flash heal. So he goes from like 96% health down to about 80. All right. So keep that in mind. We had about 20% health. He took about 20% health. It's not quite like that. He has a little bit more health than you do, but it's pretty fucking close. You always want your health bar to be lower than Gerard's. You will always be in good shape as long as you use that. And here's the other important part of this fight. You need to maximize your space. I'm always going to tuck into the corner where the circle ends, right up against the wall. You need to maximize your space here. I could have honestly gotten a tiny bit more space out of that, but close enough. So again, this whole fight is about balancing your health and Gerard's health. So I'm kind of in good shape. This is too low. 16.6% is too low. So I'm going to need to give myself a heal. If I get crit and I wind up at like 60% health, I'm going to have to start bashing my health down again. This is where Light of the Martyr comes into play, right? So we're gonna Light of the Martyr if we need to. This was our Avenging Wrath. We casted that about 20 seconds ago. That's our cooldown. Probably gonna start casting drums here again soon. I actually Light of the Martyr there and brought myself down to like 1% health. But I get a good wog here. I might even commit. Nah, a defensive I didn't. I just played. That's a very scary situation. In this spot here, we're going to get a pretty bad overlap where we're going to get the Ignite Soul and he's going to leap on us at the exact same time. And it's kind of tricky because at this point, we're kind of struggling with Gerard's health. It always happens here. After the third fire circle, we always wind up in the spot where Gerard's kind of in a tricky spot. Our health's kind of in a tricky spot. And we get the Ignite Soul. So a lot of times I end up using my scale on this exact one because it's an absorb shield. So I can keep my health low while getting out of the fell circle and getting Gerard up. At this point, I've done it maybe 20 times, so I'm a little bit more practiced at this section. So maybe I didn't end up needing the scale there. As you can see, I popped drums, I don't know, 40 seconds ago and kind of keep things cleaned up here. So I took a little bit of damage there intentionally from the circle because I got a lucky crit. And so my health was really topped up. And I'm going to use probably a couple Light of the Martyrs here to even this out. This is a perfect spot to be in. And so we just need to keep Commander Gerald alive. There's my next Light's Hammer. This does a little bit of DPS, a little bit of healing for us. So this is the second tricky overlap. So I might actually end up scaling here as opposed to bubbling, or I might bubble. But right in this section is, again, a situation where we have Ignite Soul, Gerard's getting beat up, and our health is kind of in like a precarious situation, right? So on this next circle, I'll probably bubble or scale. Yep, there's my scale, because I know it's coming. There's the Ignite Soul and the leap at the exact same time. This is one of the two. The first one's on the 4th circle, and this is like 7th or 8th circle. This is the second tricky overlap. So that's where I used to be using scale on the other one, bubble here. All right, those are the two important cooldowns. We also still have Lay on Hands. I haven't needed to use it yet. I might use it here. Yeah, I think I see that I didn't get a lucky crit there. Went for the Lay on Hands. Like if I had gotten lucky with his health and like he ended up popping up a little more, I probably would have saved Lay on Hands for the very end. But right there, I decided after I didn't get a decent flash of light in, I was just gonna cast my Lay on Hands. This is my second Avenging Wrath. So as you see, if you can cast it early, you can cast it again a little bit later. All right, so I get a second Avenging Wrath in, but you see I still have a little bit of leeway. Still haven't used my pot. Maybe I never do. Get myself healed up. I still have my health pot available to me too if I need it. Commander Gerard took a ton of damage there because our health was a little high. But at this point, we're in pretty good shape. I know that we got this in the bag, and I still have a bubble. And that's it. That's how we got our Soaring Spells Tome.